Now the back end's all back together. The center's in, it's got oil in it. Now while we don't have any trips planned for the very near future, I'm going to take care of some more housekeeping, and I've got weeping axle seals, and with the wheels off and the car properly supported on chassis stands. It's a long way into that axle seal, so we haven't been in here for a very long time, like years, many comps. So we've got a bunch of stuff that I'd like to replace while we're in here, so it's probably now not maintenance but repairs. So we've got a brand new set of chromoly CVs, axles, hub gears. This is the seal that we actually want to get in and fix because I'm just sick of the oil leaking everywhere. We got some pads, some dry flanges in case we don't choose to use the hubs. Bearings I don't have because I just used them in that. So what I might do, I might just do a step-by-step to get the CV and axle out and make a little bit of a clip about it. Freewheeling hub in the free position. We'll undo all the 8mm bolts. Already noticed even before I pulled that freewheeling hub out, I've got a tie rod in there that looks a bit tired. Alright, so off it comes. I'm already going to start having oil coming out of there, I'm imagining. Yeah, look, it looks, that seal's been leaking a long time. But it really has been a good old truck of late. Until we had that rear end explosion, it's been pretty good. We haven't broken anything. So anyway, next to take off are these 12mm nuts. Alright, now don't take these nuts off all the way out just for now, because behind this washer here there's another cone washer. So first job is we've got to get the circlip off the end of the axle. Try and do this one-handed. There we go. Couple of light taps with a hammer, and you'll see they're starting to separate out of the hub. Nothing too drastic. So that should just now slide off. Shouldn't have that much oil in there. Now these are chromoly gears in there already, and I had the chromoly hub gear too. We will be replacing them because I've got a whole brand new set to go in. Before we remove the two 54mm nuts that hold the bearings in, we're going to remove the caliper and put it aside. We're just going to wipe a little bit of this grease away so we can find the locking tabs. We're just going to unlock the tabs from the first nut, remove that first nut and the locking tab. Always a good idea to replace the locking tab when you put it all back together. Okay, so the main nut comes out now. Now just to free up that washer there, I just give the disc a bit of a shake. Comes right to the front with all the oil. You know what, the bearings look fine. For the amount of kilometers this thing's done, I mean, it's not like these things even get hot. And they've been lubricated by 80-90 all this time. But anyway, jokes aside, we'll repack it all. We'll pull this disc off now. Okay, so there's a seal on the back of this disc, which you need to replace because you've got to take it out. Well, even the seal looks brand new. Okay, we'll put this aside. The disc's a bit heavier than normal because I run the spacer. So now we've got these 12mm bolts. Pads actually look brand new. There's a lot of dirt, a lot of crud in here. Small rocks. It's terrible. And there's places you can't really clean unless you pull it apart. So this part here, we've undone all these 12mm bolts. This part here is a bit tricky now because you've got to pull the seal off, the backing plate, and sometimes the spindle will want to fall. So another pair of hands would be helpful. What I normally do is I cable tie the caliper to the spring. Then we'll just grab the spindle with a rag and hit it down, and there comes all that oil. Look at it all. Wow. Now I didn't drain the diff because I didn't really want to. So there's a lot of oil. That seal's probably non-existent in there. I'm really intrigued to see how these CVs have held up. Now there's a sweet spot on this CV. It's got a couple of flat spots at the top. You got to get them at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and this will just pull out nice and easy. Again, it's a bit hard one-handed. Okay, there it is. So there's the original, look. US patent. They're not gun drilled, these ones with a nipple on the end. These are the original ones. I've had these a long, long time. Let's get them out and inspect them. Now look, they're very, very tight to move. Very tight. But there's no marks on the bell to say that, you know, they're cracked, or I can understand maybe now why they're clicking, because they're dry. The oil's washed out all the grease. So we'll give them a good clean up, probably a repack, and these can be a trail spare or a comp spare. There's the culprit in there, and it's a pity I used the trail gear ones on the 4Runner when I put that locker in, because they're a much easier fitment and they come around the outside. So we'll have to try and get these genuine ones in there. All right, so old one out. The way I was shown to do this when I was a kid was find a socket that's the same outside diameter as your seal, start it by hand, and then socket with and tap it on. 9 times out of 10 I used to do these forward driving in the bush, because we break CVs that often. We had this before we could even afford Longfields. So we'll try and fit it in, get a feel that it's just sitting in the hole, which it is. Try and keep it square, they say. And then I'm just going to slightly tap the end of that socket until it gets home. Now if the surface is scored, it's probably still going to leak. I mean, it's a comp truck. It's had CVs broken in here for, you know, complete stages in competition. But all we can do is our best and keep these new Longfields I put in. They're going to have so that's in and that's home, flush with the housing. So these new Longfields I have are going to have a grease nipple on the end. So you pull the hub off or the dry flange off and you just pump it. So, you know, hopefully if I do lose oil, it doesn't break the grease down in the CV. One good sign was it was still leaking when I pulled the old seal out. So there's oil still just sitting in behind that, and it's holding. We've just replicated all those steps on the driver's side now. We're about to pull the short side out. So that's zip tied to the spring so it doesn't fall and do damage. And again, when I pulled it all apart, it was very oily and this seal's gone too. Now this is the side that's been clicking a lot. Again, very stiff and dry. Well, not dry, but no grease, very oily, but very stiff. No signs of cracks on the bell. So what we'll do, well, like I said, we'll clean them up. We'll parts clean them and I'll repack them all. I've got the proper grease now for them. So we'll repack them all and use them as a trail spare. So we had Longfields in here before. So years ago we did clean out a little bit of the bell there where the CV sits. But if you're doing this for the first time, this is a good test to see if they fit, is to use the spindle, stick the CV in, see if it spins freely. Some of the early Hiluxes and Land Cruisers, they needed a little bit of machining out of the bell there. I particularly, I think I just use this on a cordless drill, and then just don't forget to use a magnet to get all the files out. Alright, so here's a new Burfield CV. These are the ones that have got the nipple in them, pre-packed from America. So they send them 2 CVs in the box, axles separately. So what we've got to do, we've got to put the snap ring in. Okay, so
got it on.
Now that's a section there, and inside the CV there's another. It'll lock it in once we start to hit it. So let me just place it in, and then mallet or hammer and a timber block. So that's home. There's your CV, new CV. Beautiful. Gonna stop this project. I've ordered a pair of trail gear axle seals. Be a bit more comfortable knowing that they're in there over the genuine ones in this particular case, because the housing is quite scored around where the seal sits. So with the trail gear ones, I know I can get a better fitment with a bit of Sikaflex on the outside lip. So if this has helped at all with the removal of the CV and getting to this point, flick a comment down below and I can make a video of the installation process. It'll probably take a week to get my seals. And once again, thanks for watching.